We are back. It is episode 97 of the Metal Roundtable. I am Metal Rob, and with me, as always, is the great.
There we go.
We're back. It is episode 97 of the Shark-Infested Waters. I am Metal Rob, and with me, as always,
Metal Rob's got YouTube open.
Yeah, something. I can't find it. We're back. Episode 97 of the Shark-Infested Waters. Metal Rob, and with me, as always. Yeah, that's not me. Yeah, something. Okay, are we better?
Yeah. That was weird.
Wow.
Was
after our second bumpy start in as many weeks. So this is episode 97, and today we are going to be joined very shortly by Dave Alford and Chris Hager from Rough Cutt. But first, let's have some shout outs, my brother.
Absolutely. As I told you guys before we got on, I would like to shout out D-Day, June 6, 1944, World War II, excuse me. 9,000 soldiers either injured or killed fighting for our freedom, for the world's freedom, really. So I just think it's an important date, something to remember. I try to remember it every year. Like I was telling you guys before we started, I see that scene in Saving Private Ryan, and that scene just always like kills me, because it's like, man, I can't even imagine the bravery of those men who stormed those beaches, knowing that a majority of them were going to step off a boat and be shot.
Yep.
So that just amazing to me. But anyhow, I also have a couple of news things that I can show real quick. I'm super excited about this one because it came in the mail today. Yep. Vinyl copy of Midrost, Maleficent. They're out. If any of you guys watching are interested, there is one autographed copy left. If you go to nolifetometalrecords.com and buy it right now, you will get the autographed copy at no extra charge. Bill Bafford told me that I could say that, so there you have it. But yeah, this thing came out spectacular. Rob Caldwell did the remastering on it, and it sounds fantastic.
That guy's a hack.
Yeah, that's not what I heard. I heard he was damn sexy.
Well, you raided his house, you should know.
Check it out, man.
Hey, there we go.
Oh, here we go. What's up, guys? We are live.
Hey, what's happening?
What is up, fellas? How are you guys?
We're doing fantastic, brother. How are you?
Awesome. Well, we're going to dispense with our BS, and we are going to get right over to the important people on the show, and that's you two guys. We are joined right now live from where?
Los Angeles.
North Hollywood, right here in North Hollywood.
Nice. By Dave Alford and Chris Hager. Did I say both of those correctly?
Yes.
You did.
Nice. From Rough Cutt. We are pleased. It's been a couple weeks. We've been trying to get our schedule squared away, and we did. And I want to say thank you very much. And we really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on today.
It's our pleasure, man.
Absolutely.
That is awesome. Well, I'll get right to it. I'll tell you how this all happened. I got an email from Jody, your PR guy,
right?
Sending me the new video, which I was thrilled to death. I was like, holy shit, there's a new Rough Cutt video. So I go check it out, and I'm like, oh man, this is great. And the first thing I noticed was the new singer, and I did a little research and figured out that he's also kind of the original singer, right?
He's the original singer of a band that I had back before I joined Rough Cutt. in the 80s called Sarge. It was between me playing with Stephen Piercy and Mickey Rat, and between that and Rough Cut. So that's where we go back.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, the video is fantastic. The new
Thank
song is great. So
Excellent.
how are you? So I think I read the tagline on the video said something like the first thing you guys have done in 35 years. So tell us how that all comes back around 35 years later, and here you come with new music and a video.
Well, you want me?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go on that. Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, the band didn't do, we, after the, 87 is pretty much when we lost our deal with Warner's, and we split up after that, and everybody kind of went and did their own thing. And we've all done different projects, in between, and done our own stuff. But what happened was, about 5 years ago, we got asked to do the Monsters cruise. And we thought, well, that's pretty good money, and that's kind of worth getting, going and rehearsing and relearning all the songs.
Putting the effort in.
Yeah, putting the time and effort into it. And then once we did that, and that went over really well, we thought, well, why not go out and do some shows? Because we're all geared up and ready to go here now. So that's how it came to pass. In the meanwhile, we were just on our way to start playing more shows, and we had our old manager back, Wendy Dio, and basically some of the guys in the band didn't want to continue on that path. And so there was a rift in the band, and Dave and I thought, well, we still want to play. And so we
recruited 3 new members.
Basically, yes. Yeah.
We got Steven, and we picked a bass player from Portland, Jeff, great guy. Yep. And we got Darren Householder, who used to play in Love Hate, from what's it called? Shrapnel? Shrapnel Records. Great player, too. Okay. We're very happy with this lineup. And so once we decided to drop a single, it was actually Chris's idea. He says, why don't we shoot a video? Yeah. For the single. And so we thought about it for a while and collaborated and came up with a storyboard for it, and you've seen it. I mean, we think Priya's great. She added a lot to the video.
Yeah.
So once we did that, and it went over so well, now we find ourselves in the middle of doing a record, an EP. We're working on it. We're almost done, but it's still, we're not there yet. Gotta keep up with the times, sort to say. And we have shows coming up, so,
Yeah.
It's going to be a self-released EP? Or
What's that?
Is it going to be a self-released EP, or are you working with a label?
We're going to do it with a label. We've been approached by quite a few already.
We just haven't decided which one yet.
I think we might have an idea of who we're going to use, but we're not 100% sure on that. But yeah, it'll be a label release.
Cool.
And yeah.
That's really cool. I was glad. Oh, we are suddenly joined by the third member of the
Marcus John. What up?
What up, guys?
Chris and Dave, we are not only unscripted and unrehearsed and unedited, but sometimes I'm a moron and I don't send my show partner the link to the show. And that's what happened. So when you saw me looking away typing just a second ago, I was feverishly getting John the link to the show so he could join it. So, hey, it's live, what are you going to do? That's on me. So.
That's all right. We got our wires crossed too. We just realized that we were supposed to hit you up like 15 minutes early.
Yeah.
No. That's
yesterday. We ran into technical stuff too.
It's all good. First of all, these interviews always make me nervous as a cat because, like many other teenagers out there, I'm riding around in my buddy's, 280Z, listen to this bad boy and this bad boy. These are both reissues from Rock Candy. Both fantastic. So these always make me nervous, so I apologize for my nerves. But again, I'm glad to have you. And now I'm also glad to have the greatness of Carcass. Carcass, you've missed it. We've already talked about Rat and Mickey Rat and...
Well, then I guess I'll just punch out and go listen to
we can run it down for you again.
I got a couple things I'd like to run by John if you don't mind.
Yeah,
sure.
John, I was just kind of curious. Can you comment on this a little bit?
Oh, I can, but why? Why do you want me to comment?
No. I'm sorry. I said John. I'm sorry. I meant Rock and Dave. Sorry.
Rock and Dave.
Sure.
That's my dad. My dad is Dave, but then there's another Dave like right over there.
Right there, yeah.
So
it was the Stars Project, which is Hearing Aid.
Right.
It was all of us heavy metal and hard rocker guys' contribution to famine relief. Everyone knows that, but getting that many egotistical, crazy. I mean, if you look at the back of that record, you see everybody from Ted Nugent to me. Okay. And it's just insane having all those people. And Ronnie, I swear to God, I thought he was a professor. He was able to like go out there and all right now, and he was the
coordinator,
the
conductor, the producer,
and it was one of the best times of our lives. With memories that we'll never
today that you'll never forget.
I bet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I know that there were a million singers on it, including Paul, your former singer, and also several guitar players. Were there a bunch of drummers as well? Did you play
Just
on
two?
That? Just two?
I got asked, but it didn't pan out at the time. And so they wound up taking Frankie Benelli and Vince, of course.
Yeah.
Right. But you sang on it, right? Back row vocals?
Can't go wrong with those guys.
Yeah, no, I sang on it. Chris sang on it. The whole band did parts.
We did the choruses. Cool.
Yeah, that's very, very cool.
And by the way, just so y'all know, if you come out and see some of our shows, we end our show with "We're Stars."
Oh, no kidding!
It's our encore.
Yeah. I had no idea. That's awesome. Well,
people love it.
Texas, I know that Carcass John and I will certainly be there. So, and he must have dropped out on us.
Again, he comes in and then he goes out.
Yeah, it's something we goof on him about all the time. But so one of the things that I want to talk about, this is kind of a rock star 101, pulling the curtain back. I know that when I'm riding around in high school listening to this, I see this and I think, man, these guys have got an album out. It's on, I think it was on Warner Brothers. This one's obviously a reissue. So to us, buying your albums when we're teenagers, we think rock stars equal millionaires. Well, as I've gotten older and gotten to know a couple people that have done stuff, in music and whatever, I realized that is not at all the case. Take us behind the curtain and tell us what that's really like. I mean, I hear so many stories of everybody's making money, but the band. How did that go for you guys?
Well, so here's the deal. Sometimes rock star equals millionaire.
Right.
But it's not always the case, right? And we know we have a lot of friends of ours who did extremely well, made a lot of money, bought big houses and had expensive cars.
We have friends that have lost it all already too.
Yeah, right. They've lost it. And so we were hanging out with, they were, all our buddies, and we were hanging out with them. So we were right there with all the trappings. Now, Rough Cutt what would happen is we didn't have a bona fide hit.
Which we would have if we could have released our record when we wanted.
There's reasons for that.
Like we missed our window. with Warner Brothers.
Yeah, we missed doing it. So we toured our ass off. We were out there touring with Ronnie Dio, Crocus, Accept, and I mean, we were out there a lot and doing arenas and the whole 9 yards. But we would go to the record stores to do in stores, and there'd be 1 or 2 records in the in the bin, and
Or
it
not.
was like.
Yeah, it happened. They didn't ship enough, so there's several times we'd go into a record store and you'd see the bin rough cut, but it was empty. Yeah, they didn't get more records.
So, and the
I don't mean to
reason
laugh,
for
but I've
that,
been there. So
the reason for that was when we got signed by Ted Templeman, basically, Warner Brothers, and so Ted was producing Van Halen and then Roth, and at the time. He was slated to produce us, but he was busy. So obviously they took precedence. So we were waiting, and we waited almost a year.
And
by then things had changed. People had left Warner Brothers, and so we sort of got what I call orphaned.
Yeah, we lost our A&R guy.
Yeah,
they stuck us with somebody that we weren't his baby, so he didn't put all the energy into it. And then on top of that, the day that our record actually got released, you could go in the store and get it, was November 12th. And the very day before that, on the 11th, MTV changed their whole format.
Yeah.
That the day before it came out, no more rock videos. It was what Madonna,
Cyndi Lauper,
Philip Bailey, and other stuff.
And then they changed it back
like 88.
87, 88, whatever. But we really missed the boat, and we actually were on rotation for a while.
Oh yeah.
But it wasn't enough, So,
and it was kind of late.
Yeah.
Because like if we would have released our record when we signed with Warner Brothers, if we'd went right into the studio and did our record, all of our stuff would have came out at the same time as the metal wave, Motley, Rat, Rough Cut, everything would all been around the same time. But we sat on it for a year.
So it's like timing is everything.
It is, and that as younger guys, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would have been looking for Ronnie to give me those type of tips, but he worked so much to where once we were in the studio with Tom Allum, we didn't even see him for a long time.
I found out, later that we did work with Ronnie. He produced our first demos.
Yeah.
But we found out later that he actually did want to produce our record, but he was busy too, and
with a solo career.
So we did get to work with some fantastic producers nonetheless,
Like the record that you were holding up there, Rob, now the first album, imagine that record, okay, with Dio producing it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we love what Tom did on it. To us, it's a very what do you call it? Signature statement, because it's got a lot of cool guitar work on it that other bands just didn't seem to have at the time, at the era,
Tom was a master at production, he really was.
He really was, go ahead.
So
John.
Speaking, you said the magic word, you said guitar, and I had no idea that you guys, Jakey Lee, Jimmy Crespo, Craig Goldie.
Jimmy Crespo was never in Rough Cut.
He was never in Rough Cut?
No,
he played something with Paul. Right.
Oh, I got you. Okay, my bad. But
that's
still,
that's the Wikipedia.
But there was a lot of musical chairs, though. What you're talking about.
Him and Piercy started Mickey Rat. Then later on, when it became Rat, I was in it with Jakey Lee. Then when I and Jake left, we started Rough Cut. I found Paul and brought the Dios into it. That's the band that I moved to California with in 1979.
Nice.
Wow.
Man, I know you, Scott. Where do we know each other from?
Dude,
I'm looking at you.
Everything.
I'll never forget a face.
Yeah, he knows everybody.
Yeah, you do look familiar.
I played in a lot of thrash bands, and I played in LA quite a bit. So that may be why.
I'm sure we've crossed paths. Probably seen you in the Rainbow.
I ran into your old singer once at a club in on the Strip, and this is of course in the 2000s now. So, but it was funny because he was still living large like it was 1986, and he had a girl on each arm and a bodyguard in front of him. Wouldn't let anybody near him. It was pretty funny.
And that was Paul?
It is pretty funny.
That was Paul, yeah. We were there to see Yulia Ross play. Yeah.
He was just playing Duke fame, that's all.
Take two.
Take two.
Speaking of, we all know the Spinal Tap connection with Paul being Duke fame and all that. And Kit didn't have time. He had to go wait for the limo. But something that I found out today that I did not know about, you guys appeared in a couple of other movies, did you not?
Yeah.
Tell us a little about that.
We did
first of all, we did Fame.
Yeah,
the TV show. We did an episode on Fame, and that was a hell of a deal. That was great.
I'll blow your mind right now. I've never said this to anyone, but I'm going to tell y'all right now because I got really upset about it. While we were on the set filming the TV show Fame, Rob Reiner was shooting a movie and he saw me and he talked to our manager, Wendy. He wanted me. I was going to be Duke Fame. Okay. He saw the long blonde hair and the whole 9 yards and said, he's perfect. And as soon as I opened my mouth and he heard my accent, no way. He's out. So, and as being a younger guy, then I was like, what? Just because the way I talk, but thankfully for us, she was just what a great manager. She goes, what about Paul? And she sold him on Paul. But I've never told anybody that. But I guess what that means is I was going to be asked to do that beforehand.
So where are you from with the accent? There's no way
Shreveport.
from LA.
I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, we talk like this down there.
Yeah, you're a long way from home there, brother.
Yeah, been long ways for a long. Hell, me and Chris known each other for 40 years.
Going on.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Well, here's another odd little. My mom grew up in Port Arthur, Texas. So you probably know where that is down there.
Yeah, I do.
Southeast, southern part of the state. Well, the song that you have on track 2 on the first album, the cover of the Janis Joplin song.
Yeah, Piece of My Heart.
Janis Joplin was in my mother's graduating class at Thomas Jefferson High School in Port Arthur.
Wow.
All right.
So
that's awesome.
If you want to play 6 Degrees of Separation, me, my mom, Janis Joplin, the cover song, Rough Cut. See what
right.
Real
quick.
Did she know her?
Yeah, did she know her?
She did. They weren't like buddies, but I've asked her, and Janis, as you can imagine, was kind of the louder, wilder type. I suspect my mom was pretty conservative and quiet, but she did know her. And the one thing that she remembers was she said she was really loud.
Right. I've heard this. I've heard these I've had people that knew her and have spoke to me about, I'm an older guy and I was way into Big Brother back in the day.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, that is, I can't imagine anyone going to school with Janis Joplin and not knowing who she was, because she was very obnoxious, flamboyant. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I heard she was like the center of everything, and another quick note that a lot of people don't know that Chris can tell you about too. When we decided to cover that song, okay, we couldn't just play the chorus the way that Big Brother did it. So Chris and I guess Matt might have had something to do with it. I can't remember. But we came up with the idea to take the chorus out of the song Wild Thing. And if you take the lyrics and melodies off of Piece of My Heart, when it gets to the chorus, it's dun, 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 dun. It's the chorus out of Wild.
We kind of transposed things a little bit.
I mean, we were really brilliant. Working with Tom Allen was insane. I mean, that guy, Judas Priest.
Yeah,
we were all big, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest fans, and like Tom Allen was like, holy shit, are you kidding? Yeah. Or we were like little kids in a candy store, man.
Right.
That would be the same way, man. All you got to say is Sabbath and Priest. All you got to do is say Sabbath and Priest. I mean, are there two more legendary than that?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, Dio.
Well, Jack Douglas, who did the second record, was a legendary guy, obviously in his own right. I mean, Jesus, he and Jay Messina, that team did the first,
Aerosmith,
dozen.
Boys in the Attic, Rocks, all those records. He did.
And
y'all know
he did also John
Lennon when he got shot.
He did a whole bunch of stuff, and he's a very well known producer and
very unique person too.
Yeah,
he is.
He pretty much made Aerosmith who they were. I mean,
that's right.
Just look at the difference between the first Aerosmith record and Get Your Wings, and that should tell you enough.
That's right.
He told us the stories about that, especially the Draw the Line record. Remember that? Draw the Line?
Where he got stuck living with him for almost a year?
He said that there was one point where every one of those guys would come to the studio by themselves with their own masters. Okay? I mean, they couldn't get any two of them in the studio at the same time. He had some great stories.
He had great stories.
And another piece of memorabilia is he wasn't working with Jay anymore. And when Warner Brothers, we had a list. And when we went down the list and we offered Jack Douglas and we got him, he wanted to produce us. The only way we would do it is if we could get him, the Aerosmith team, back together.
Yeah.
And we're the first.
We wanted the guys that did rock.
Right. And so we were the first band that Jack said that got him and Jay back together since that era, and worked together. And it was great working with them guys.
Oh yeah.
You
never know. You never know how things are going to turn out, do you? It's just,
No, well, it's crazy as I was reading some of this because I knew the albums, but I didn't realize all the early history. I didn't realize the Rat crossover. I didn't realize that Claude Schnell was in the band or some form of the early, band. I didn't know any of that. So that all is just overwhelmingly interesting to me.
Well, when I joined the band and when Matt joined the band
at the same time,
it was Craig Goldie playing guitar. So we did the first demo recorded with Ronnie with Craig, and we played some shows.
We actually did a show with Jake, and then when he was in Ozzy, he left us to go to Ozzy, and we did a show in Fresno at Sealand Arena, and Jake, it was during the Jake era with Ozzy, so it was. But this band here, like Chris said earlier, musical chairs. There's been so many people, that from the beginning, it's pretty what do you call it, fluid.
Yeah.
Right. So with oh God, with Steven being in Sarge back in the day, and you guys start putting something together. Were you in touch with him over all those years, or did you look him back up and say, hey, we're going to do some new Rough Cut stuff?
Well, basically, we were in touch off and on. And we would, we'd go a few years without talking and stuff. And then we'd get a hold of each other. Hey, how's it going? And then, I think maybe 10 years before we'd say, hey, we should do Sarge again. We should do a project, but it didn't come together. And it wasn't until I think the cards were just in the right place.
Right.
And I said, listen, man, why don't you come on over here? I've got a studio and let's record some songs and see what happened. And that's the way it went.
And then when Chris and I decided that we were going to keep Rough Cut together, it was never not together with him and I. He said, well, he told me, go see Steven sing. I know Steven. I've seen him in Sarge many times. but I needed to go and reacquaint myself and sit back in the audience and see how he would fit in Rough Cut. And he impressed the hell out of me. Okay, it was in a little bitty bar down off of Beach Boulevard too, way down in Huntington Beach. But I was sold. So I come back to Chris and I said, he will work. And hence we got the rest of the members. And now y'all, you're up to where we're at right now.
Yeah. What I had remembered was Steve and I had worked so effortlessly together back then.
Yes.
And when we got together again a couple of years ago, it was like we had never stopped.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I've got this chord progression, man. Yeah. Before you know it, I mean, now we have Pro Tools, so we can put it all down. Yeah. But next, 20 minutes later, we've got a song.
Yeah. He's
that
real
doesn't
good.
happen with everybody.
Well, it doesn't happen that often with singers. Our singer, Stephen St. James, he is really, really, really good of writing on the cuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I can sit here or Chris and show him something, and he'll go off in the corner for 10, 12 minutes with a pencil and a book, and he'll come back and go, what do you think about this? And then start running it by us. And by the time we've rough cutted it, it's like I said, he fits perfect.
Yeah, we just put the mic right up, and it's like, fuck, great, okay, try this, and we just.
He's so good. There. He's like, we couldn't be happier.
Oh man, no, and it shows. When I saw the video, I was really blown away because I did not know about Stephen. And the video is fantastic. The song is great, but the thing that impressed me again was his vocals. It's like, man, this dude is good. So I'm really glad that y'all got that worked out again and are moving on with him. So I want to say to anybody watching, if you've got a couple of questions appropriate, we want to be respectful of our guests, people. If you've got a couple of questions that you'd like to throw out to Rough Cut, please do that. But one of the things, obviously with the Spinal Tap tie-in that you guys have from your past with Paul, give us a couple of Spinal Tap moments that you've had, because as much touring as you guys did, something had to come apart at some point.
I'm going to let him take this one.
How far can we go?
Yeah, really.
You got all the time you want.
No. That ain't what he's saying. How in depth can we get?
Does he want it to go NC-17, or does he want to keep it PG-13?
Yeah.
That's
what he's
like
asking.
X or triple X.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you something. That's just really kind of a funny little anecdote. And we were out. I think we were up in northern New York. It was late at night. We were going to another gig, and the
Winnebago story.
We hit
Paul
hit a deer.
A deer.
Yeah. Paul happened to be driving, and we were all wasted, and we hit this deer,
a big
one. And it knocked, it
took the whole front of the whole
thing out.
Motor, everything was, in fact, turned the deer into venison.
Yeah. So we were just doing this little hop. So we just had a Winnebago at that particular time.
Right.
But so a little while after that, we got pulled over, right? And Paul and the officer comes to the door and said, what's going on here with you guys? And Paul said, we hit a dove. I mean, we hit a doe. and the cop's like, so I think we narrowly escaped going to jail that night.
Yeah. And then right after that, it became the car tour.
Yeah, and then we wound up
because we didn't have no more bus anymore. Like he said, it was like at the end of what we were doing. We just finished up with Crocus and Accept, and a lot of more gigs were coming in for us. So we went and headlined some other places, and we took a trailer and a Winnebago, and actually we took a truck and a Winnebago and took off and playing. And
Yeah.
We got to where after the Winnebago thing happened, we became the band of cars. We would like have,
Everybody goes through that thing. I mean, it's like we were lucky enough to have a bus for most of our career.
And remember Matt and Amir getting lost. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And the girl, we would have chicks take us from the gig that we just played to the next gig. We'd get there any way we could, but there was a few freaky things that happened sometimes, Like I said, it all depends on how in depth you want to get. But
well, I've got pictures, but
yeah,
it's just like Salt Lake City. It was, geez, man, you get into that repressed kind of deal, and it's like
right.
They just
what about Detroit? We're in Detroit, and I'm not going to say who it was, but there's a girl on the bus, okay, and her boyfriend throws a brick at the window of the bus, okay, and is freaking out because he knows that she's up there with one of my guys, okay, and so we had a few Spinal Tap moments where, like Chris said, we just like skated by.
There was a couple times where we had some issues with some underage escapades. We weren't aware of it. I mean, we were in our 20s, and we got a phone call from Warner Brothers one time saying, "Hey, we've got a complaint here, guys." And it's like.
Well, speaking of that big elephant in the room of touring, are you any plans in the near future, since the country seems to be opening up and becoming in Texas, we've been normal now for a while. Well,
we're coming to Texas.
All right.
We've got shows booked on the East Coast right now. They're already advertised on all the social media platforms.
So it's the 31st in Atlanta and the 1st in Greensboro,
North
Carolina.
And we're looking at playing the Warehouse live. They've already offered us, down in Houston.
Good
They've
venue.
offered us a date there, and we were already busy with another date, so we couldn't take that date. So our management's working on another date. So, we will be coming to Texas, too. We got shows in Arizona coming up. We got, we're just now getting started because we've been in the studio for the last 6 months.
Plus, everything's been shut down. So,
Hey, Paul.
I know Texas.
Paul Gaskin just chimed in and said Texas has never been normal, but it's normal to us, buddy. And I was going to say, if you need a place to play, we've been known to have a gig right in my living room. So
that's right. That's true. Hey, I didn't know, man. Paul Gaskin was watching.
Well, if you have a pen, it's Scully Coley Entertainment. Scully Coley Entertainment, spelt the way it sounds. Okay, that's our manager. He's out of Atlanta, and John, anything that you think, even if you speak to people, a bar that could support Rough Cut. We're not Bon Jovi. It ain't like we need a 2,000 seater or nothing, because plus look at the time and the era that we're in. But any things that you can come up with for us, you give our manager a shout, because he talks to all of our friends, and that's actually how a lot of things are starting to happen. Well, I can't wait till we get to Detroit. That's going to be crazy, because Rough Cut was crazy in Detroit.
Well, interestingly enough, I just talked to some of our friends down under in Stone Trip, and they're looking to come here, and for the same reason. And I remember back when I was booking shows many, many, many years ago, I mean, I'd take these bands out of California, and we wouldn't even get out of Texas. We'd do a whole month here, 22 shows in 30 days. Yeah. And you've probably experienced that, where no days off. It was just like play. Yeah. And
we have. But we're older now, so we're doing 2 back-to-back dates coming up, but in between that, there's some time on.
Well, hey, we know people, and quite frankly, if there's anything we can do, and I will make a few phone calls and see if I can point them in the right direction, because man, that'd be killer to hear you guys.
That's great. We appreciate that.
I don't think I listened to the first album all the way through for 20 years until today.
Really?
I just thought, man, I'll go ahead and I forgot how great that thing is. I mean, it really is like every song. And you know, of course, man. Dreaming Again is, I mean, that's like one of my favorite, Piece of My Heart, whatever. But anyway, so
see, we think, like, back to the question that he asked about, you know, the hit thing with not having hits because of missing the window. You do the math. If we would have came out when we were supposed to, Dreaming Again would have been up against Vince Neil, Stephen Pearcy, Kevin Dubrow, and which are all great singers. You know, we're not by any means they're putting them down, but the band's really good. But we sincerely think that Dreaming Again would have came out at that same time with Paul Sortino singing. We think we would have had a hit. In fact, I think we would have had a couple of them myself.
100% agree with you. Especially after, you know, sometimes when you put it on the shelf and then come back to it, you have a greater appreciation for it. And man, every song I was just like, what am I doing? I'm gonna have to put this in my rotation more often. Yeah. So, especially that song. I'm surprised that didn't get you more traction, because that really is a great song. But
like I said,
I love it too.
Missed the window.
Well, Dreaming's what got us signed.
That's the song that Ted signed us on, was Dreaming Again. Chris, I'll never forget when he comes up, he goes, check this out. And he wrote like all the intro part and the slow guitar in it and everything. And I'm going, man, that's really cool. And then he gets with Paul, and I get with Paul, and Paul's on the piano, and we'll start coming up with melody and stuff. And that song came together really easy.
Yeah.
It came together. It was like magic, you know. And I think you can hear that magic on the vinyl and the disc. You know?
Yep.
So you guys have got the song and you're demoing it. How in the world do you get it to Ted Templeman? How do you get the gig to meet the person, and get
to Ronnie James Dio, brother?
Yeah, good management. And plus, Ronnie was signed to Warner Brothers, so it's not, you know,
that's
much
right.
of a stone throw, you know. Yeah, she just, you know, got to her contacts, and they want Ronnie to do this, and she'd say, "Well, if you sign Rough Cutt."
You know, well, you know, see, there's two things in the music industry that are, you know, concrete and true, and that's one is being, and we've all heard them, right? Yeah. That's being in the right place at the right time, and then who you know.
That's right. Like if you're really good. Like I'm telling you, the day of the discovery thing, you know, like in the olden days, that stuff hasn't been around for a long time. You got to be in the right place at the right time. You have to know the right people, and you have to have the right people on your side. Yeah. Okay. And especially today with social media, anybody can reach out there and say anything they want to, you know. Right. So we pretty much are the type of band, especially me and Chris, you know, our new lineup that we have. We let the music tell the story. You know, you can, like, I haven't heard one negative thing about Black Rose. Nothing. No,
it's great.
Everybody that I've talked to, and we're talking fans of the old lineup too, they love it. You know, and they all accept Steven, our singer.
Yeah, he's great. He's a really good singer. He sounds fantastic. I mean, what's to complain about?
Yeah, right. So there's always a few that come here and there and got something to say about it that were old fans, you know. But eventually, like I said, the music wins them over. John just said a second ago, he played the first record for the first time in a long time, and look at what it did to him. He'd like it. It's like revisiting a good thing.
Yep. Exactly. You know? Well, I mean, and music does that, and that's why it's kind of cool that you guys were doing this decades ago, and all of a sudden have. I mean, not that you haven't ever stopped playing, but it's sparked a new excitement towards the band, and I'm sure the integrity of the band's going to stay the same as you push forward. But man, I can't wait for the new stuff. It's going to be cool, and it'll be great to see you live again. I saw you. Oh gosh, I can't even remember. I mean, we go to a lot of shows, and as you get older, sometimes those memories fade a little bit. I was going to say, somebody asked a question. It said, Donnell Blair, who's a local metal hero here in town in DFW, said, Crocus and Twisted Sister had a beef. Do you guys have any beef with any of your metal counterparts? Or are you guys just friendly with everybody?
Meaning other bands?
Other bands, yeah.
Nah, not really. No. I mean, back in the 80s, we were all competitive. Okay.
Sure.
I mean, hey, bro, it's good to see you, man. And, you know,
but,
as you're taking his flyer off the wall and putting yours up.
Oh, how did you know? Yes, exactly right.
Yeah. And, listen, man, I know we all laugh about that. Even Chris said on an interview last week how they'd look around and staple over somebody else's flyer and stuff, which we used to all do. Well, you guys, that is why spray glue was invented. Okay, and it got to where we started, forget staples, and we go up to buildings and you spray glue that stuff to there and then hit the flyer over it with glue. It'd sit there. If that wall was still there, that flyer would still be there. This many years later.
So we do have another watcher named I'm going to try to say this correct, Alvaro Villatoro, and he wants to know. You may not want to answer part of this. He wants to know who was the best band to tour with and who was the worst. I suspect I know which part of that you'll answer.
Ronnie hands down.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dio was probably our favorite.
I mean, we not only did we love playing with him, but we'd go out after the show and we'd watch him play, and we loved him.
I mean, he was always a big fan of mine. I mean, I'm an older guy, and so I was way into Deep Purple and Rainbow and all of that stuff, and so it was an honor to be able to not only bring him the project, okay, like I went out to his house when I first moved out here in '79, and we talked, and he said, as soon as you get a singer that's worthy, come back and see me. And once I found Paul, that's what we did, and then that's what started that whole thing up for Rough Cutt with the Dio camp. Now, as far as the worst one, to be honest with you, we didn't play with any bad bands. No, I wouldn't know how.
I can really remember.
Yeah, I really wouldn't know how to, because you did say touring with. Right. I mean, I've seen some bad bands before, but they weren't on the bill with us.
Yeah. Right. So I can't ever remember getting fucked over.
Yeah, me either. I wouldn't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
So this is a very easy softball question, but I really want it. We don't talk to that many people. When you're a fan, you don't get to talk to guys like you that often. And so what goes through my head is, what was the very, very best thing? Was it on stage? Was it seeing your record in a store? Was it signing the contract? What was the very best part of those two records and the career that you guys had or still having?
Who's going to answer that?
Yeah, for me, man, it was like doing the LA Forum or the Philadelphia Spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
Or the Atlanta Omni. Those were places that I'd heard of or gone to and seen other concerts, but I never thought in a million years I'd be up on the stage, and then my hometown, San Diego, the sports arena, having my folks come down and, setting them up with the VIPs. And
you just reminded me, when we finally got to my hometown, it was on my birthday. And the local Shreveport Times, there was a picture of me in the paper it said local boy returns to the Hirsch Memorial Coliseum.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and
That happened to me too in San Diego.
With Ronnie. And but for me, like my favorite, okay, I love doing festivals that we did, but my favorite of all, and this is very cool, we were actually mixing the first record. We done finished with everything. Tom and them were mixing the record, and Wendy threw us on the bill of the last show of the Last in Line with Ronnie. So the very first time that I step into an arena, it's sold out. It's the Forum. They shut the lights off and the hairs just stood up on my arms, and I'll never forget that. You know, it's nothing. I mean, to your first time to play an arena and it's the Forum and it's sold out. Great memories, man.
Yeah,
and that's mine.
there's some other things that are right up there with those,
Oh, yeah.
but I think those are probably the salient things that really stand out. I'll mention one more.
Stomping ground,
What's that?
The Spectrum was my stomping grounds. It was where I went to see all my concerts as a kid.
Oh, really? Great
I grew up on the East Coast.
So when Ronnie was just finishing Holy Diver at Sound City, he invited us to come down and have a little listening soiree. And they were still just putting the final touches on the mixes, I think.
Yeah.
And so we all went down there. And first of all, Sound City was such the quintessential. I mean, we walked through there was just gold and platinum records all the way down the hallway as far as you could see. And we got in there into the control room and they had that big Neve mixing board in there. But God damn, his stuff sounded so
big,
crisp and big. And here we are sitting, with these guys and, guys that we, really admired and we were fans of, and that was a rush.
Yeah,
that was a rush.
I'll never forget when we walked into the control room that day, they were messing with Don't Talk to Strangers. And when I heard that through the big monitors in the studio, I was like, no way.
Yeah.
It just because we're hearing this harpsichord and this 12-string guitar and Don't Talk to Strangers, and I'm thinking what is this?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, bam, and that was a great moment also for me.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you guys, even though you talked about kind of missing that window because the record had to sit for a year, sounds like
we sat for a year.
What's that?
We sat for a year. We didn't even start doing the record for about 10 months, I'd say.
We were waiting for Ted. We were waiting for Ted.
Yeah, to produce it.
That's right.
Finally, we had to. Well, I hate to say settle for Tom.
Right. Well, we've had to draw the line. That's what we had to do.
Yeah, we had to.
It was either put out something or get out.
Yeah.
So we chose a different producer.
Right.
It sounds
we
like
wanted Ronnie, but he couldn't do it. He was busy.
Yeah.
Right. It sounds like in spite of the time delays and all that, you guys had a pretty overwhelmingly positive experience with the records and everything. Was there anything that really just wore you out, dragged you down, was just the worst of the worst while you guys were doing your thing?
I think we were frustrated at times because we knew that we weren't getting the airplay
and the push
and the push that we needed. And so we're out here busting ass, out on the road and, doing 18-hour drives and stuff like that.
And it's like Chris said, it's very frustrating. You walk into a record store and your record ain't there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really frustrating. I'm telling you, it really is.
Because we thought we had a good product and
we did.
It's just so that was frustrating. That was frustrating.
That's the Spinal Tap moment right there with the no product thing. Yeah,
it's true. That is true. That's very true.
And
especially when we did that one in Chicago, we pull up. There's a line of people going down the street and around the corner waiting to come in to talk to us and us sign records and stuff. And they were ready to buy. Everyone there would have bought a record that day. We were making all kinds of promises.
Yeah, I'd say, another highlight was going to Japan the first time.
Yeah, the first time.
And that was a whole different
Super
experience, man.
Yeah.
Super Rock was amazing. I mean, you're goddamn Michael Jackson over there. You know?
Yeah.
Everybody's big in Japan, but it's like
they were waiting on us at the airport.
Oh, yeah,
we'll put it that way.
And every morning we'd wake up at our hotel rooms and we have 50, chicks waiting out with us with little letters and presents, that they would give us, and they'd follow us to restaurants and all this shit. And it was like, wow.
Tell them about Akiko.
Oh.
We come back from playing the first festival we ever did. 500,000 people, this huge thing we're playing, Woodstock stage. I get back to the hotel and my door is locked from the inside.
Yeah.
Some girl found a way to talk the guard or somebody into letting her into my room.
Yeah.
And they were really going to rake her over the coals. She was like crying and holding my brush, wanting to be close to it and stuff. And
must have been that blonde hair.
I had to diffuse the situation. I won't go into the X-rated part of it because she broke in my room, But that kind of stuff was a high point too. I mean, I never thought, I'm a drummer. I never thought that I'd be having stuff like that happening to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. I'm telling you, we enjoyed it, and plus, to be honest with you, we fit. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about, you know what I mean, when you see an unorthodox show, like two bands that you wouldn't think you'd see playing together, we seemed to, it didn't matter if we was with Accept, balls to the wall and stuff, and we're doing Dreaming again, we fit. That's what I'm saying. Everything that we did was great. I mean, I love the 80s. It's too bad we can't turn back time and fix all the stuff that we know screwed up.
We got to live it, so.
Yes,
and that's the thing to me, because I was growing up in rural North Texas, and that was just like a dream world to me. And so to reach out and have you guys, or to have Jody reach out to us and get you guys on, because originally he approached me about the internet radio show, wanted me to play a song on there, which I will be doing, as a matter of fact. And then I said, hey man, we got to get these dudes on the Metal Roundtable so we can talk, about everything that's going on. So I want to let you go as long as you want to go, but I want to be real respectful of your time. It's been an hour, and I know our producer is probably about to reach through the internet and choke us, but thanks again. And if you guys, Scott, I kind of overstepped here, but I didn't know if you or Carcass had any questions before we wrap up, but thank you.
I was just enjoying listening to the stories.
No, this is really awesome, especially after my experience of re-listening. And I mean, when we don't listen to music like we used to back when we were kids, and I'm old too. And I got the record out, and listening to a record is a commitment, because it's not like you sit down, you play side one, and then you flip it over and sit down and listen to side two. And man, it just had a whole different feeling, because I was committing to listening to it. And so I'm going to do it more often. And in fact, your comment
about,
hear
the new stuff.
Well, I'm ready for it. And I was going to say, Paul Gaskin chiming in again. He said he wants to go back to the 80s. So please take him. He says, take him with you.
Take a magical mystery tour.
Yeah, tell him let's all go. If he builds the time machine, we'll both go with him.
Right on.
Yeah, Paul from the great Nawabum band Gaskin, by the way. I'm thrilled to death that Paul is watching. Paul, you're welcome on the show anytime, brother. I would love to do a Nawabum episode with you.
Sure.
Absolutely.
That'd be awesome. Well, it goes without saying, Dave and Chris, if you guys come to Texas and you get anywhere close, you know, we are there. We would love to meet you live in person, maybe do another episode.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah,
you've
maybe
got
a
our
live
contact
episode
info
of
through
Venue.
Jody, and anything you need from us in Texas, we would love to help. And anytime you want to come on the show, if you think of a funny story, I kid you not, email me and we'll get you on. If we're talking about something you want to chime in on, please hop on. We'd love to have you.
Well, thank you so much for that, man.
To know that we love Metal Roundtable. You know, seriously. I think this is
very
the
cool
best
platform.
platforms that so far. And I love seeing people that I can relate to, that we both can. And as far as Texas goes, come on, guys. Do I have to tell you that I'm not going to come play Texas? That's not going to happen. You know we're going to come to Texas.
Well, I've even been at the Hirsch Auditorium in Shreveport because I used to live in Longview. So that was our big city lights when we lived in Longview. So I'm
where
ready.
Are you at now, John?
Fort Worth.
You're in Fort Worth, so you're Dallas Fort Worth area. That's
yes, sir.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm north of Dallas, and Scott's out in New Mexico.
Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Albuquerque, yeah.
We might be
coming to Arizona in October, okay? And keep an eye out for that. And just so you know, we will definitely hook up with you guys when we get to Texas. No doubt.
I can't see us not doing Texas, man.
Yeah, no way.
Oh no, you better. I will put a tack strip out and stop the van.
Man, you look like a pretty big guy, man. So
he reminds me of Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
He does, yes.
So we'll keep good on it, you know.
Carcass is our Metal Roundtable security. He's a big guy.
I guess Steven Seagal's better than Vince Gill. I got that one time.
Oh God!
I see Steven Seagal. I don't see Vince Gill.
Well, and in fact, speaking of Japan, I had an experience with a Japanese couple at an airport in Salt Lake City, Utah. By the way, that thought they were sure I was Steven Seagal, and so I didn't break their hearts. I went ahead and signed an autograph for them.
Did you play it out, brother?
I did play it out. Yes, sir. I surely did.
That's awesome.
I couldn't break their hearts. They were so sure I was him. So
yeah.
Now that's a Spinal Tap moment.
That is a Spinal Tap moment.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
Hey, and nobody asked about.
Oh yeah. Well, let me tell them first. Okay. So one of the things that we do when we open the show, when we don't have a guest, is we always and we try to figure out what the hell Carcass's shirt says. Okay, show me again.
Okay, how do you pronounce that? We can't.
Shore.
It's
Shore.
Plutonian Shore.
Plutonian Shore. Yes.
Plutonian
Shore.
San Antonio, baby.
I guess that's a band.
That's a band. Yes, it is. San Antonio, Texas.
Right.
And before we end real quick though, my shirt is a little preview for what?
Hopefully
Havoc.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I was in a band called Max Havoc.
That's right. Close.
More power to you, man.
So that's why we've got the Metal Roundtable. We've got Carcass, who likes all things extremely heavy, but all things.
But I love Rough Cut.
Yes. I'm the hair metal guy, the 80s metal guy, and Scott is definitely right through the thrash metal vein. So it works out great. You know, we all have a different angle on things, but hey, man, you guys fit the show just like you fit all those tours with all those bands. You fit the show so well. Thank you so much for coming on. This is exactly how we like to do it. Just dudes sitting around talking about what we all love, which is heavy metal. And again, I'm going to reach out to Jody and tell him I appreciate him hooking us all up. So we always sign off with the same thing every time, and it's metal horns, and we say metal will prevail. So for episode 97 of the Metal Roundtable, thank you once again to Dave and Chris for coming on the show today from Rough Cut. We are absolutely thrilled to have had you. And until next time,
Metal
will prevail.
Yeah.